Good morning. I'm Craig Kimbrough with Positive Guru. As always, glad to have you along on this journey into this world of spirituality, metaphysics, and meditation. The other day, I was talking to one of my customers with my gutter and window cleaning business, and we were talking about the things that are going on in today. You know, everywhere you go, that's like the main subject, or the first subject is just all the craziness going on, whether it be protests, whether it be rioting, whether it be the coronavirus. And I've spoken on this a little bit, probably each week, and I'm just going to touch on it for a second and then move on into our primary subject. The one thing that we were both on the same page, and we both came to the same conclusion. And, you know, she was saying, hey, you know, I guess we're like spiritual brothers and sisters as we were talking about the whole thing. And the conclusion that we came to is just that the conclusion that we came to was just that, one, it's not a coincidence that there's a God as we know God, or a higher power behind what's going on. And it's in control of all of this. And this is not just happening by accident, but everything is happening for a reason. And that reason, as she was and I were saying this, I was saying, well, yeah, I feel as though until we get the message that we need to love one another, despite race, creed, religion, whatever, until we get that message, these type of things are going to keep happening. And we were saying, hopefully we're beginning to get the message. We see people all around the world standing together. So hopefully we're going to get the message. And as we do get that message, things will change. If we don't, then we have to go through more. I mean, that's just metaphysics 101. It's like the law of karma. You know, these things come for our lesson. And as we get the lesson, we transcend the karma. We move past the karma. And I definitely maintain that. And as I said, my customer, she was saying, hey, you know, I agree 100%. She said, it's not just us. I talk to so many people that think the same way. And I said, well, yeah, you know, I guess there actually is, and you can see it, an awakening going on. And now, I guess I want to get to the awakening in our own personal lives that is hopefully going on. I was, I guess, revisited by a lesson that my teacher, Mr. Kimbrough, gave me one time, and it always stuck in my mind when I was going through some things, and he said that said you need to meditate more, Sonny. Understanding that meditation, the more we meditate, the more stress is gone. The more we meditate, the more we're able to handle situations. The more we meditate, even the more this dream we find ourselves in, that dream, our life, tends to magically come together more because we become a changed dreamer. So now we are dreaming different situations, more peaceful situations, more happy situations, more adventurous situations, more situations that go along with our dharma, our place in life, that thing that we are meant to do that no one can do in the same exact way in which we would. We are moving into that the more we meditate. And of course, when I say meditate, I mean we meditate on the higher power within us, because we're all meditating all the time. We're all focusing all the time. We're all repeating mantras all the time. Mantra is something we repeat to ourselves over and over again to control our meditation. We're all doing this all the time, whether we realize it or not. So the idea is, once we get on this path, to move into a meditation that suits us more. And for years, I've been talking about not just our lotus position meditation, where we're sitting there with our eyes closed and repeating our mantra and what have you, but also I've been talking about our walking meditation. Now, our walking meditation, this is what we do when we our just going through our daily lives. This walking meditation influences our lotus position meditation. When I say lotus position, you don't have to worry. You don't have to be tied up in a knot on the floor. You can just be sitting in the chair with your legs crossed at the ankles and your hands like so on your knees, on your legs, and just your eyes closed and doing the process. And if you want to know this process, of course, you can always go to the How to Meditate video. I don't know if I yet have it on the Facebook page, but if you click on positiveguru.com, that's positiveguru.com, and you go to meditation, the process is right there. But as I was saying, as I was talking with my teacher years ago, and I was telling him about the things I was going through, he said, "Sonny, you need to meditate more." I said, "What do you mean, Mr. Ambrister? I meditated this time and that time every day," proud of myself at the time. And he said, "Sonny, when you got the kind of problems that you have, you got to meditate all day long." And that always stuck with me because it just really caught me off guard. I was like, wow, meditate all day long. And in my head, I kind of knew what he meant. Now, I read books that talked about meditating 2.5 hours a day, where you say your mantra so often, and then you listen to the inner vibration and try to perceive the light for a certain amount of time a day. But he was talking something like that, but different than that. He was saying, in addition to when you sit down and meditate, you got to be on top of your walking meditation. You've got to make sure that where your mind is all throughout the day is going to support your meditation. So then when you meditate, now you're doing something. Now you're making some traction rather than your mind continuing on with what it's been meditating on before when you go to sit down. So I was thinking about this, as I said, in just situations in my life, because I had some things in my life where I said, man, I need to be meditating all day long. When you got the kind of things going on that you got going on, Craig, you need to be meditating all day long. And when I was thinking about this, I opened up my book, 30 Days of Metaphysics, Miracles, and Enlightenment in Your Life. It's a picture right here. And I randomly opened up to a page, because that's the way the book is designed, for you to open up to a page randomly and make that your page for the day. I said, what will my page be? And this is the page that I opened up to. That was this morning, actually. It says, going to heaven is not enough. You have to bring heaven back here. So this is something that Mr. Ambrister said to me. He said it to me once, but I never forgot. Here's my explanation on page 141. Going deep in meditation is wonderful and needed for our supreme happiness on the enlightenment path. At the same time, it is not enough. We should be in complete enjoyment all the time, realizing that God is with us and we are in heaven right now. We have to get to the point where we see life as a wonderful journey, where things are constantly trying to happen to us if we can see the beauty and embrace the lesson at hand. Yes, we should go into meditation regularly. Otherwise, we won't see the Father's beauty and magic in our world. Once we do, we should embrace Him in our world totally, in all the ways in which He shows up in our world. The more we do this, the more our world expands to include heaven, both here and in the hereafter. One of the most interesting things we find as we enter the higher worlds is that there's really only one world. Our perception of it has just widened. So now we see things that we never thought we would, and life becomes incredibly beautiful. Now, I remember at the time when I was asking him this question, well, I remember the question that I asked him when Mr. Ambrister had said going to heaven is not enough, we have to bring heaven back here. I was actually questioning him at the time because I was stumbling on to something. I was stumbling on to the idea that heaven is here. Heaven is now if we are open to it. It's the kingdom of heaven that's spread upon the earth, but men don't see it. And I was really stumbling onto this. I was stumbling onto this idea from the Gospel of Thomas. It was coming to me in Joseph Campbell videos I was watching with him and Bill Moyers discussing. I'm going to move this over. It's like everything's crooked. But it was coming to me in various ways of my world time, and I was realizing that, man, I have to experience it right now. And at the time, I was going through some things where I didn't feel like heaven was where I was at the moment. So I had to move into that situation. And I thought about other times. Now, even this morning, I was thinking about other times when I needed to move beyond something, move into a different place, mentally, maybe even physically. And I did this by flooding myself with the heaven consciousness. And when we do this, it works. When we decide that we are going to experience heaven right here, right now, it begins to work. And we start looking for it everywhere. And when something happens, we say, man, how is this happening to pull me further into heaven? It may look like it's a challenging situation, but how is this bringing me to my higher good more? Ways in which I can't even see. How is the universe trying to hook me up? What serendipitous thing, what unexpected good is going to show up in my world? These are the things that we need to ask ourselves as the different things are going on in our world. And of course, when I think about the bringing heaven back here, I think about immersing myself in the good things. And really, as my friend Aaron said I would do sometimes, censor myself, censor what I am watching, censor what I'm talking about, and make sure that it's all things of the Spirit. I have to admit that I've done it on some level, but God has shown me that, no, you have to do it on a higher level. I still want you to go further. And it's funny, all the places that I'm finding out that God wants me to go are places that I've been wanting to go and maybe unwilling to take the steps there. So now I am being forced to be in heaven at all times in order just to get through life. And at the same time, it's taking me to where I want to go. And it's an unbelievable, wonderful journey. And at first, I'm patting myself on the back. Oh yeah, look, you just found out these new things for your business. Look, you're excited to jump into it in these new ways and so forth. And then I find out that, oh no, yeah, you stepped it up, but you have to be in heaven at all times. So I'm realizing that I have to step my game up, and that's a good thing. And and at different times in our lives, quite necessary. We may have times in our lives when we have to move all the way from over here to all the way over there. And we may not have any idea how we're going to get there. I've spoken about issues that I had when I first got into meditation science quite often here lately. And I guess that's because it was just so mind-blowing that I was in these situations, 2 of them, that I just did not know how I was going to move beyond them. And yet, when I moved into heaven right here, right now, when I dove into the new life, all those problems left. I was watching this movie this morning. I stumbled on Netflix. I just went through Netflix last night, just searching through all these movies, just looking for one that might be one that I've never seen, but yet was heavenly, that spoke to me, spoke to my spirit. And I found one called The Bookshop. It's quite an interesting movie. I'm still in the process of watching it. I haven't seen the whole movie yet, but it's quite the interesting movie. And this lady, she's in this new town, and she's going to open a bookshop, and she buys this old house that no one had been using, but when she buys it, all of a sudden she finds out everyone has these purposes for it, but she wants to open a bookshop, and she has all this opposition and so forth. So she's dealing with all these things going on in her world and all these problems, and her husband had passed, and and she just had all these things going on, but yet she decided she's going to open up this bookshop. It was like a dream of hers. And she said, in the process of getting the shop together, when she began to unpack the books and open the books, she said all her problems faded away. And I thought this was a most interesting lesson. This act about when she opened up the books, all her problems faded away. When she moved into her dharma, that place where God wanted her to be, against all the opposition and everything that was going on, and moved past all her doubts and everything and just dove in, all her problems faded away. It reminded me of when I talked about when I first got on the spiritual path, and I had the back pain and I had the reoccurring nightmares. As I began to dive in to this place that God had been calling me to go to, that maybe I had been resisting on some level and didn't know it, or maybe I was too comfortable. I think that's what it was. I was too comfortable prior to. But as I dove in, all my problems faded away. The back pain faded away. The nightmares faded away. It was the most beautiful situation. And and when I look back on it, it was so magical. I was working to figure it out, but I didn't have to figure it out. I just dove in. Going to heaven is not enough to bring heaven back here. I was going there. I was beginning to even meditate. And but as I dove on the path, all my problems left. And the day before, I was thinking about something very similar. My page the day before, even though I opened up the book randomly, just so happened to be the page directly before going to heaven is not enough yet to bring heaven back here. And that page was act like a millionaire, even if you only have a dime in your pocket. Something Mr. Bristol said to me. And this is my explanation, page 139. If you go to the bank and you only have $1, walk with your head held up high. If you have an old car, keep it clean and fix it up. If you only have a dime in your pocket, act like a millionaire. Soon the universe will turn you into one. The subconscious is very powerful. You must think of yourself as and act like the person you want to be. Whatever the person your adventure calls for you to be. If you can act and feel in this way, your deeper mind will not care if it's visible to your physical eyes or not. It will simply bring your new situation into manifestation to match who you have become. And I was thinking about this all day yesterday, this whole, and the reason why I was thinking about it so much was because just prior to opening up to that page, seeing what my page is going to be for the day, I was thinking about some things. And I was thinking about, different movies in which people had followed the road of the prophets, this metaphysical route to get where they wanted to go. Didn't have any idea how they were going to get there, or sometimes they didn't, or other times they did, but they used the metaphysical route to get there, and they followed the road of the prophets. The road of the prophets is where you just become the person that belongs where you want to be. Become that person right here, right now, regardless of what the situation is. I was reminded of the movie Somewhere in Time. Christopher Reeves was playing in the movie, and he wanted to go back to Mackinac Island in a time before the time in which he was alive. And when he would go back there in his mind, he even got to the point where he would dress up like someone back during those times. It wouldn't have anything to remind him whatsoever of the world in which he was in. And he would go back in his mind, and next thing you know, he would be in that world. He fell in love with someone in that world, and eventually he got to the point to where he showed up and stayed there. It also reminded me of this movie Timeline, which is a great movie. You ought to check it out. Somewhere in Time, Timeline. The Timeline, same thing. This guy was an archaeologist. He just was so fascinated with this one couple that died together during this war. And they were so in love that when they passed, they were there in their tombs with their arms clutched together. And he would tell the story to people that would come to where he was. Well, he worked at, I forgot where he worked, but he worked at some historical place. And he would tell the story about this couple and the magic of their time. And it became so much a part of his psyche. He eventually showed up there in that time. And at one point he realized, oh my God, this is the woman in the who I've been reading about all these years. And he realized that he was the one to fight by her side. So when everyone else had to leave back to go to our time, his time, he realized he had to stay. Because he realizes that this is where I belong. But he had been there the whole time in his mind. He had taken off to that place. This is one of the secrets of bringing heaven back here. Sometimes one of the easiest ways to get there and to bring it back here is to travel the road of the prophets, to immerse yourself into being that person who you were meant to be. Sometimes we have to write down all the attributes of this person. She's like this, she's like that, he's like this, he's like that. And we can't be shy about the wonderful attributes of this person. Most of the places that I've gone to that I can be proud of happened by traveling this road of the prophets, not knowing any idea how it's going to get there, where the money was going to come from, or how it's going to revolutionize the business or whatever was going on. But continuously seeing yourself as that person. If we have something like that we would like to move into, then we should be studying about it, reading about it, watching movies about it, talking about it, thinking of ourselves as that person in that situation. The next thing you know, the universe, the outer universe, will catch up with what's going on in your inner universe. And during this process, we can't let, just like Crystal Reeves couldn't let this time, the things in this world enter his mind, we can't let anything of a negative nature enter our mind. We can't focus on our troubles and our problems and how am I going to fix this, how am I going to fix that. No, we can't do that. We just have to go to heaven. Go there in meditation, then bring heaven back here. Watch movies that remind us of it. Have conversations about it. Completely immerse ourselves. And as we do, be like the lady in the movie who opened up the book. All of a sudden, all my problems left. We won't even know how it happened. It will just magically come together. But it won't be about getting rid of our problems. Because that's never what it was about. That might be what it became about for us. But what it really was about was the new place that God was trying to get us to. The new person that the universe is trying to get us to become. This whole new way of life that we are meant to live. In the Bookshop movie, the lady was saying at the beginning of the movie, she was saying, we inhabit the books we read. And the covers are like the floors and walls in which we live. She was saying that when I finish a book, I love it. A book or story, because it fills my mind with the characters and the events of the book. after I've read it and just runs through my mind. This is true of the atmospheres that we place ourselves in. So we have to be very careful, because the movies we watch, we inhabit those movies. The TV shows that we watch, the news programs we watch, the conversations that we have, we inhabit those places. And we are encapsulating in them. And we duplicate them. We are tithing them. We are multiplying them tenfold. And when we finish having these conversations, when we finish having these meditations, when we finish watching these movies, when we finish reading these books, when we finish having these thoughts, they run through our mind. And the story goes on, and the story goes on. And we multiply it tenfold and tenfold and tenfold. We're tithing these thoughts and events and situations. So we must step up our walking meditations and still make sure that we're taking time for our meditations in the lotus position. And as we do this, life becomes incredibly beautiful. We say, how did I get over here? How did I awaken in this new time? How did I awaken in this new place? How did I get to this point where things are revolutionized? I'm looking right now and I'm seeing more and more how my business is being revolutionized by one little tiny step that I decided to take, but took 2 big revelations in order for me to take, which took a lot of going to heaven and bringing heaven back here in order to experience them. And now I have a couple more areas of my life, 2 more areas of my life that I'm going to have to revolutionize. And I'm realizing that I got to meditate all day long. I got to step up my walking meditation. If you have a goal, if you have a dream, if you feel like you're missing a goal or a dream, or you know that there's some place that God wants you to be, that's the next level while you are here in this dream, then it's time to get busy. I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed. Peace and blessings to you all. Have a great week. Pay attention to those walking meditations. And let's bring heaven back here in every moment of our lives. Thank you. See you next week.